Hello everyone, welcome to the Ceven Law podcast, based in France, at the intersection of law, business, and economic reality, serving business leaders and investors. We are pleased to present the fourth episode of the Ceven Law podcast, focusing on a current issue that directly impacts tenants and property owners of real estate assets. Episode 4: Property Tax in Paris in 2026. What impact on the attractiveness of real estate investment under the latest fiscal orientations? Before getting into the heart of the topic, a brief introduction to Ceven Law. A law firm with both national and international reach, specializing in tax law, business law, and immigration law. The firm is also QUELIOPI certified, a certification issued by the French state, which attests to the quality of the processes implemented by training providers. Let us now return to our topic, because in tax matters, perceptions sometimes evolve faster than the law itself. Is property tax in Paris really increasing? Since 2023, the municipal rate has undergone a significant increase, rising from approximately 13.5% to 20.5%, before remaining unchanged in 2024 and 2025. To date, no increase has been announced for 2026. This analysis applies to all built real estate assets, whether residential or commercial. The 20.5% rate corresponds only to the municipal share of property tax. It must be supplemented by the household waste collection tax, as well as certain additional contributions, such as infrastructure taxes and state administrative fees, which increase the total amount actually payable. However, these additional charges generally have a more limited impact, while the municipal share and the waste collection tax account for the main portion of the overall burden. From a legal standpoint, the situation appears stable. In practice, however, the tax burden may still evolve. Property tax, governed by Articles 1380 and following of the French General Tax Code, is based on the cadastral rental value of the property, determined under Articles 1494 and following, and updated annually. This update, provided for under Article 1518 bis of the Tax Code, leads to a standardized revaluation of the tax base, generally indexed to inflation. For illustration, plus 7.1% in 2023, plus 3.9% in 2024, plus 1.7% in 2025. The provisions introduced by the 2026 Finance Act follow this logic, with adjustments that may affect certain tax bases. Therefore, regardless of the rate, the actual tax amount may evolve. In practice, the impact may differ depending on the use of the property, as property tax is often passed on to the tenant in commercial leases. The latest policy directions from the French Ministry of Finance, now reflected in the 2026 Finance Act, call for measured vigilance. However, the analysis should not be purely tax-driven. Revenue from direct taxation, estimated at over €2 billion for the city of Paris, contributes to the funding of public services and the ecological transformation of the capital, particularly in terms of urban greening and development. These public policies directly enhance the attractiveness of the territory. From a comparative perspective, with a 20.5% rate, Paris remains below many major French cities. Property taxation in Paris therefore maintains a relatively moderate positioning. In a competitive economic environment, fiscal stability is a key factor. It provides confidence for investors and plays a decisive role in overall attractiveness. In this regard, it is essential for Paris, and more broadly for France, to preserve this balance. Well-managed taxation supports investment, stimulates the real estate market, and strengthens Paris's attractiveness within Europe. Conclusion: property tax requires careful monitoring, particularly in light of the changes introduced by the 2026 Finance Act and the revaluation mechanisms provided for under the tax code. Nevertheless, when considered alongside the quality of public services, environmental transformation efforts, and the overall attractiveness of the city, it currently remains within a balanced and acceptable range. In this context, maintaining a clear and controlled tax framework is essential to preserve investor confidence. Finally, property tax is only one component among many in the overall tax analysis of an investment. Thank you for listening. At Ceven Law, we support our clients in assessing these legal and tax impacts to secure their investment decisions, both in France and internationally. We hope that the analyses and information shared in this podcast episode have provided you with valuable insights. If you are interested in these topics, we invite you to follow our podcast on audio streaming platforms, on YouTube, or directly on our website, www.cevenlaw.com. This is the Ceven Law podcast, at the intersection of law, business, and real-world practice. We look forward to seeing you in our next episode. Legal notice: all intellectual property rights related to this content are reserved. This podcast is provided for informational and educational purposes only. It does not constitute legal advice or personalized guidance. It cannot replace the analysis of a specific situation by a lawyer or legal professional.